Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you the Lekato Cube Baby Multi-Effects pedal. Now the people over at Lekato reached out to me recently and sent me a list of their products and asked if I wanted to try some. And they sell a lot of different guitar and musical instrument accessories, from straps and cables to wireless units to guitar maintenance kits, but it was really the Cube Baby that caught my attention. These things sell right now for $45.99 on Amazon, so I was really curious, what do you get for $45.99? So we're going to check it out together. And I will be doing a giveaway of one of these in the near future, along with that Flying V guitar you see behind me. There'll be 2 separate chances to win, so make sure you're a subscriber so you can stay tuned for that. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into it. All right, let's start by looking at the unit itself. When you turn it on, you get this nice little dazzling display of lights to start off with. And then we've got 3 foot switches. They're used for a couple of different things. One, moving between the different presets, or if you edit over them, your new tones. It's also used for engaging the tuner by holding 2 of the buttons down at once. And also by holding 2 of the buttons down at once, you get into the edit mode. So there's a couple different things going on with the switches. Then you can see there are quite a few knobs here toward the top, and we'll go right to left. So starting with this one, we've got type, which is for the different preamp models. And there are 9 different preamp emulations here. You can see them on the screen right now. Some of them might be a little bit intuitive as to what they're going for. Some might not be. Like there's one called Shit Cow. I have no idea what that is a play on words for, but maybe someone down below will let me know what they think. Then we've got the gain knob, and there's, I'd say, a moderate amount of gain here. Enough gain for me, but you're not going to find, like, you know, monumentous cascading levels of gain. You're going to find gain similar to, say, I'd say a Rockman, right? Maybe a little more juice to it, which is perfect for me. Then we have the tone knob, which when it's in the straight up neutral position, it doesn't really impact the tone, but as you turn left, it makes it more flat, takes out some of the high end, and if you move it to the right, it takes out a little bit of the low end and makes it more crisp. I found that I tend to go for a little bit more crisp tones with this so I can make it cut through the mix a little more. And then we have the mod or modulation control here. When it's straight up, it's there's no modulation occurring. It just passes through. But if you move it to the left, it kicks in the chorus. If you move it to the right, it kicks in the phaser. Now, it's a variable control. I thought there were maybe 4 settings of each, 4 chorus, 4 phaser, but I think you can fine-tune it a little bit more than that. But a little bit later in the video, I will show you some of the different chorus and phaser settings from mild to wild. Then the next 3 controls, time, feedback, and mix, all have to do with the delay effect. So the time is how quickly the repeats happen, feedback is the number of repeats, and the mix is how loud the repeats are in the mix. Okay, it's all delay specific. Then we have a reverb control, and then the IR cab, which is for the speaker cab simulations, and there are 9 of them. I'll put those on the screen now. You can see that those are actually pretty clear as to what they're going for, so there's no disguising there. And then finally we have the overall volume control. Now on the back of the unit, you can see left to right, first we have the input, 1/4 inch input for where you plug in your guitar naturally. Then we have the on-off switch. Then we have these 2 input outputs where it comes with the cables for that too. One of them, the first one, is for going into your PC, and that can be used for either charging or for recording. Also, you can pump music from your PC into this if you want to play along to music and hear it at the same time. And then we've got the iPhone or the phone input output, where you can also pipe music in and out or record with your phone. There's the headphone jack for a 3.5 millimeter headphone input, and then the 1/4 inch out if you want to take it to an amp or some other device that accepts 1/4 inch cable connection. All right, now let's hear some of the presets. One of them is a heavily distorted kind of lead preset. Another one is more of a soft clipping, kind of slightly overdriven,
almost clean tone.
and then we have a pure clean tone. And all of these have quite a bit of effects on them, so keep that in mind. And after I show you these different presets, then I'll show you what I've been able to come up with. Okay, now I'm going to take you through some of the tones that I've created. The first one is going to be a crunch rhythm tone. And what I was going for there is kind of a 1980s hard rock Marshall tone. And so we start with the type. I went with the WO Stone Coral OD. I'm not sure what that is supposed to be, what sort of emulation, but that was my favorite distorted guitar tone here. And then with the gain, I've got it cranked up all the way. With the tone, I have it a little bit to the right because I want to make it more crisp. With the modulation, I've got it set for probably the lowest chorus effect that I can come up with by barely moving the knob to the left. And then we've got, for the time feedback and mix, which again impact the delay, I've got it set for 1 repeat, and it's probably somewhere in the upper 300s, close to 400 millisecond range. That's kind of the sweet spot for me. I've got it pulled back in the mix a little bit because I don't want it too loud. I've got a little bit of reverb. And then for the IR cab, I chose number 4, which is one of the Marshall 412 speaker cab emulations. Let's hear that one. Okay, now I'm going to show you the lead tone that I've created. And once again, for the type, we start with that Stone Coral Overdrive. It's my favorite. And we've got the gain cranked up again. Now for leads, I like a healthy amount of mids. And there's no mids control on this, right? No direct mids control. But I found that if you experiment with different preamp and speaker cab combinations, you'll find some allow more mids through the others. So that's what I did. When we get to the IR cab, you'll see that I used a different one. I used number 3. Another Marshall 412 emulation. For the tone, once again, I've got it pulled to the right a little bit to give it a little more crispness to the tone. For modulation, I did pull in the phaser as minimal as I could. I love phaser for lead guitar. I've talked about this many times. And a lot of it goes back to the Van Halen influence, right? On the first Van Halen album in particular, he used that MXR Phase 90 a lot. It's kind of subtle in there. A lot of people don't realize it's there, but if you pulled it out, you would miss it. Now, this phaser effect, even on the lowest setting, is a little bit more than I typically go for, but we're going to go with that anyway because it's fun. Then for the delay effect, again, we're kind of in that upper 300s, close to 400 millisecond sweet spot. A couple of repeats this time. Also pulled back just a little bit in the mix. We've got a little bit of reverb, and then as I mentioned for the IR cab, I used the other Marshall 412 one, which allows more mids to come through. Let's hear that tone. Now finally we have the clean tone that I created, and for the type I use number 1, which is the Power Zone Clean. And then for the gain, we've got that almost all the way down. We've got it on 1. It's not going to really produce any clipping or anything, but I think it sounds better on 1 versus 0. And then for the tone, again, we've got it pulled to the right a little bit to make it more crisp. For the modulation, once again, I put it on a very low chorus setting. For the delay, the time feedback and mix, it's kind of similar to the lead. We got a couple of repeats, but pulled back a little bit further in the mix. Got a little reverb. And then for the IR cab, I used number 1, which is the closed box mold setting. Let's hear that tone. Okay, now I want to look a little bit deeper into the modulation and show you what the chorus and phaser can do. I'm going to show you for each one kind of a very low setting, a moderate halfway setting, which seems like a lot to me when you hear it, and then all the way up for both. So let's check that out. Okay, now that you've heard the different modulation effects and what they can do, this leads me to my one piece of feedback for Lekato that I would love to see one thing in the next iteration of this pedal, and that would be a little bit more control over the modulation. So just like you have 3 controls for the delay, I would love to see 3 controls for the modulation. One would be the ability to toggle between, off as in no modulation, the chorus, and the phase. The second would be the speed or rate, whatever you want to call it, and the third would be the depth. That sort of control over the modulation would be incredible, but I know I'm asking for a lot because you're already getting a ton for the price here. But if they could do that, that would be incredible. All right, let's wrap this up. All right, that was the Lekato Cube Baby Multi-Effects pedal. If you found this video helpful or informative, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And please hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will attempt to answer them as time allows. And make sure you stay tuned for the giveaway, which is coming really soon. Until then, rock on.